ମାନେ ଆମେ ଏମିତି ବି କରିପାରିବା।
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍।
We can have a composite team.
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍।
ମଲ୍ଟିପୁଲ ରୋଲ ଆମେ ଆହୁରି ଭଲ ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ କରିପାରିବା। ସେ ବି କହୁଥିଲା ଦିଟା ରାଜ ନମ୍ବର
ଆଜ୍ଞା 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 ଆଜ୍ଞା
ସେ ଦିଟା ଖଣ୍ଡେ ପ୍ଲାଟଫର୍ମ କହୁଥିଲା ଯୋଉଥିରେ
ନା ମୁଁ ଦେଖିଛି ସାର୍, ମୁଁ ଇଏ କରିଦେଇଥିଲି।
तार फेसबुक और यूट्यूब को कस्टमाइज कर दो, पेज पेज करके तार साइज कर दो है सर। बसी तो क्रिएट करियो मतलब ओवर मोर देन ऑक्युपाइड रही
दिजन वेट को देखु सर दिजन
उसको बेसी अच्छी है बस ये लाइव प्रोग्राम को वेबिनार कहीं के देखियो
आज्ञा सर सर एटीटा में कथा बात सर एटीटा में सेट कर दो सर फेसबुक पे मोडल लाइव कर दो कौन है ना ये तो चल स्क्रीनशॉट सब रख दो आगे आगे जो आगे सब स्क्रीनशॉट रख दो आगे ताको पूरा स्क्रीन रख दो आगे आगे ठीक है वीडियो कॉल कंप्लीट कर दो मतलब टिके जातो टिका देखारे पळे आगे आगे हां सर ठीक है सर मैं जान सकता सर अपन लेटर ठीक है सर आगे सर चलिए सर ताको प्रोग्राम पूरी चलियो लॉन्च मत करियो लॉन्च मत करियो आगे सर आगे इतना ने एक्टिविटी हुआ हां हां भाई भाई आपण काली मते जे प्रोसेस हो गेला तो पेमेंट आसला तो से काली जब बोल से काली बोल वो आपण डायरेक्ट ऑनलाइन मुझे सब बोल करे हां हेलो हेलो हां काम सुनला चालू पूरा बंद नहीं कौन टोटल मंदले वस्तु ले
खुशी बुझନ୍ତି गीता पर पहुंची ଆମେ କଣ୍ଟାକ୍ଟ ଆପଣ ଏତେ ସବୁ କେसे ପ୍ରୋଗ୍ରାମ यार पासवर्ड कौन कहले ओआरएस ओआरएस
ओआरएस @12346 yes और से जो ये लगे थे डाक्टर तरह ये लगे थे एनएटीएस का पढ़ा से एनएटीएस का पता আছে না
कनेक्ट नहीं हो
নালা আরেস্ট ওর তো বলতো
सारा मैं नहीं कनेक्ट कर दिया कनेक्ट नहीं
এটা হচ্ছে সূত্র এই সাউন্ডটা যেন শুনতে হবে না তারপর চার বছর তারপর তুই সে তার সাথে চালতো তারপর হাত মারি উনি সরি ওলা কাম আছে তোর যায়
ବସିଛି
ପିଲାମାନେ ଏକଦମ ଛୋଟ ପିଲାମାନେ ଆସନ୍ତି ସେମାନେ ପଥର ଦେଇକି ଏସବୁ ଜିନିଷ କେବଳ ବୟସ୍କ ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ଏଇଟା ଆକର୍ଷଣ ଛୋଟ ପିଲାମାନଙ୍କ କିଛି ଗୋଟେ ଆକର୍ଷଣ ବିଷୟ ରଖିଲା ବେଳେ ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ ଡଲ୍ସ ମ୍ୟୁଜିୟମ ମଧ୍ୟ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ପ୍ରସ୍ତାବ ରଖିଛୁ ସରକାରଙ୍କ ସେଟା ମଧ୍ୟ ଆଶା କରୁଛୁ ଶୀଘ୍ର ଆଗାମୀ 2 ଦିନ ମାସ
ଏବେ ଓଡିଶା ହିଷ୍ଟୋରିକାଲ ରିସର୍ଚ୍ଚ ଜର୍ନାଲ ଯାହା ଓଡିଶାର
प्राइड पब्लिकेशन बोली कहा जिवो तार इनागुरेशन रिलीज करा जिवो माननीय महोदय कमल रे एवं उपस्थित माननीय प्रमुख शासन सचिव तथा निर्देशक महोदय एवं डॉक्टर मिलन चावले को अनुरोध करिबी ओडिशा हिस्टोरिकल रिसर्च जर्नल को रिलीज करने पाई। संपादना करिसेंती डॉक्टर भारती पाल मो ताको अनुरोध करूची मंच पर आसीबे एवं ए पुस्तक को माननीय मंत्री महोदय एवं पंचासीन अतिथि मानक कर कमल रे उन्मोचन करिया अनुरोध करूची। संग्रहालय उद्यान देखी खुशी हेबे तेणु ए उद्यान को एते मनोरम करिबारे जो मानकर अवदान को आमे स्वीकार करछु से मान को आमे सम्मानित करिबा पई चाहिछु। महोदय एवं पंचासीन प्रमुख शासक महोदय एवं निर्देशक महोदय आमर उद्यान कर्मचारी मानक संबर्धित कले से उत्साहित हे बोली आम आशा करूछु। तेणु प्रथमे मो आमर जे मुख्य माणी जी रघुनाथ जी मंच पर बसिबे अछंती डाकर जल्दी सबको डाकी दियो। अरुण दंड राम अक्षय राजू समस्त चले एमानक सहित आमर पिला माने अछंती किंतु एमाने हमर परमानेंट माणी जो मानकर तत्वावधान रे ए उद्यान केते सुंदर हे परिछि। हमर प्रति वर्ष जो कंपटीशन हुए सेतरे हमर ए वर्ष द्वितीय स्थान हासिल करछि ओडिशा राज्य संग्रह से टिके सम्मान रे से माने निश्चित भाव रे घोषित हेबे एवं संग्रहालय उद्यान को अधिक आकर्षणीय करिबा पई से माने निश्चित भाव रे जत्नवान हेबे बोली आमे विश्वास करछु। ग्रुप करो हां बच्चों पर काहे सो मो सबको काली कोइ छु कोइ तने एते कोइ तने जोटा जोटा के करूछ हैना तने जे रिपोर्ट আছে से रिपोर्ट सब कमेंट करके एथर आमे आउटे कार्यक्रम हाथ को लेछु संग्रहालय रे जो माने सिंसियर टिपल कर्मचारी ताको दे जण को आमे संपर्कित करबा पई निष्पत्ति लेछु से मन कवितारे रंजन बाला महांती ताको अनुरोध करूची। सी इज द मोस्ट सिंसियर ब्यूटीफुल कर्मचारी या द्वारा हमर अन्य कर्मचारी माने इंस्पायर्ड बोली विश्वास करूछु ताको आज आमे संपर्कित करूछु। आ जणी दुर्योधन प्रधान अच्छा सर म्यूजियम रो गैलरी ठीक टाइम रे खोलिबा ठीक टाइम रे बंद होबा ताको परिष्कार परिच्छन्न रखिबा एवं जो पर्यटक बा जो माने आसंती संग्रहालय मानको भाବରେ अटेंड करिबा ए दृष्टिରୁ एमानकर अवदान उल्लेखनीय। एबे मंचासीन विभागर माननीय प्रमुख शासन सचिव महोदय को अनुरोध करी से तांकर वक्तव्य प्रदान करिवे।
ओडिशा सरकार विभागीय निर्देशक म्यूजियम पंचायत डॉक्टर चावला पद्मश्री सुदर्शन दास प्रोफेसर ऋषिकेश मलिक प्रोफेसर संतोष अन्य व्यक्ति संग्रहालय सहित संपर्क संग्रहालय प्रतिष्ठा दिवस पालन करूँ अर्थात ये होची संग्रहालय जन्मदिन जन्मदिन पालन अवसर जो मैंने उपस्थित धन्यवाद आप जानी निकट अतीत ओडिशा सरकार संस्कृति विभाग को चलचंचल क्रियाशील करने बहुत किसी पदक्षेप नवर घोषणा कर विधिवत कार्यक्रम आरंभ हो सारी संग्रहालय कार्यक्रम परिवर्तित करने स्वतंत्र भाव निर्देशक एवं निर्देशालय आज जो कार्यक्रम रूपरेखा देखिले विस्तीर्ण खाली राज्य संग्रहालय ओडिशार विभिन्न सदर महकुमा जो संग्रहालय गुड़िक अच्छी छड़ा ओडिशार जो विभिन्न संग्रह कर भाव आम लोक पाखे परिवेशन कर घोषणा कर बहुत सारे गोटे जिला संग्रहालय कार्यक्रम चलती अल्प दिन भितर विभिन्न म्यूजियम जो देखिले आपण माने तो आत्मसंतोष लाभ करेंगे तो राज्य संग्रहालय जो चामुंडा मूर्ति अच्छी ओडिशा देखा लंडन ठारे म्यूजियम देखार पार्थक्य रही कहीं चामुंडा मूर्ति आपण हरईले चामुंडा मूर्तिर पूजा अर्चना ओडिशा होता चामुंडा मूर्ति सहित दार्शनिक एवं संपर्क रखि व्यक्ति विशेष अंचल किंतु जो लंडन ठारे से मूर्ति देखिए ताले जो परंपरा आम जड़े जड़े दायद से दायद हिसाब से अनुभव से जो आमर सांस्कृतिक विभाग रही विक्षिप्त भाव में विभिन्न जिले विभिन्न अंचल अच्छी संग्रह करवा ठीक भाव में दर्शक सामने रखा से गोटे कर्तव्य
सेक्रेटरी मंत्री डायरेक्टर
बजाय रही मुख्यमंत्री
दर्शन अच्छी जे जहाँ करिवो टीम वर्क रे करिवो एवं कौनसी व्यक्ति विशेष नुह कि माननीय मंत्री
सब वर्ष तो हुए तो सब वर्ष हुए ना
ये सब
ना ना सीधे चेंज हो जाए एठी
विश्व दरबार रे ओडिसा रो म्यूजियम अछि गत 2 दिन तळे गोटे आर्टिकल प्रकाश करथिलु सेतरे लिखित जे ओडिसा ब्रॉड म्यूजियम को जदि अपन आखि লাগিব 3000 वर्षर हमर संस्कार हमर संस्कृति जहार कि आमे जण उपयुक्त दायक सेटा एठी अछि एवं ए जो पत्थर गुडी के जीवन
चला कोन काम ना
आज जो माननीय मंत्री जो वर्चुअल म्यूजियम को इनॉग्रेट कले सेटा मध्य ऐतिह्य कैबिनेट रे गोटे सिद्धांत थिला जदि बा प्रत्नतत्व विभाग के कार्यक्रम टी आज आरंभ करा गरा हमर जो म्यूजियम
ये विश्व में सच्ची है ना इसी से
गैलरी अन्य गैलरी को
आउट
आज आपण जानि जे ओडिसा रो बुद्ध धर्म ऊपर आज गोटे सेमिनार होछि एवं से सेमिनार रे आलोचना करथिबे डॉक्टर नीरज चावला से कथा प्रसंग रे मते कहतले ए जो म्यूजियम रे जो लाइब्रेरी अछि से म्यूजियम रे से जो लाइब्रेरी अछि सेथिरे बसी के रिसर्च करथि एवं से ओडिसा रे पाठ पढिचंती जदि बा से औरंगाबाद रे चाकरी करचंती तांको बापा ए ओडिसा रे काम करथिले पूरी मंदिर रो जो आपण आज जो नूतन चेहरा देखुचंती से 1974 मसिया जो हमर एएसआई अछि से काम करचंती से हमर से ओडिया संस्कृति साहित्य विषय भाव परिचित से आज ताकर जो आलोचना रखिबे ओडिसा रे बुद्ध धर्म तार जो उन्नति हेतला आपण जानचंती आपण जदि थाईलैंड को जिबे श्रीलंका जिबे आपण जदि जापान जिबे एवं विभिन्न राष्ट्र जिबे मंगोलिया को जदि देखिबे आपण देखिबे बुद्ध धर्म की बड़ी प्रचार प्रसार होछि एवं जाजपुर जते बड़े आपण अनुभव करि परिबे जे नालंदा बड़ी विश्वविद्यालय मधुरा रत्नगिरी रे थिला किबळी भाबरे एते बड़ बड़ जो अनुष्ठान गुडी अछि ओडिसा रे किबळी भाबरे उबे गला ता ऊपर निश्चित भाबरे
प्रश्न है ना
आगामी पीढ़ी को मध्य से विषय कहले
चलो
एवं सेही पतन करे मध्य डॉक्टर चावला जी कहबे दिनतले आमे किंतु कोरोना रो गाइडलाइन रही ताको आमे आखिरे रखी गोटे लिमिटेड वे ए कार्यक्रम जाको मध्य वर्चुअल टेलीकास्ट चली एवं अपने कार्यक्रम रे शामिल
हम कार्यक्रम के दोस्त हम देखे हुए ସେମାନେ ଯାହା ପିକ୍ଚର ଦଉଛନ୍ତି ମୁଁ ମନେ କରିବି ଏଟା ମୋର ପିକ୍ଚର ନାହିଁ ତମର ଯୋଉ ଷ୍ଟେଡିୟମ ସାମ୍ନାରେ ଯୋଉ କ୍ୟାମେରା वाला ବସିନି ଷ୍ଟେଡିୟମ ସାମ୍ନାରେ ଗୋଟେ ମୋଟର ସେ ଯାହା ପିକ୍ଚର ଦଉଛୁ ମୁଁ ସେଇଟା ହିଁ ଚଲେଇଛି देखो 5 मिनिट पछे जाଉଛି हां 5 मिनिट पछे जाଉଛି ना 5 मिनिट पछे जाଉଛି से କହିସାला ପରେ ତାପରେ ଯାଇକି ଇଏ ଆସି हां ସେଟା ଆମ ପଛରେ ଜାଣିଲେ ଲୋକ ହିଁ ଜାଣୁଛନ୍ତି ଲୋକ ହିସାବରେ ଚାଲିଛି ଠିକ ଠାକ ଚାଲିଛି हां
ज्योति प्रकाश पाणिग्राही जी उपस्थित अछंती उपस्थिति ही कहि दउची संग्रहालय प्रति तांकर श्रद्धा सहयोग एवं उत्साह तांकर प्रेरणा कहले टिके आगरु संग्रहालय आज अंतर्जातीय स्तर रे पहुंचेबार आ बेसी बाट नहीं माननीय मंत्री महोदय को निवेदन करिवि तांकर अभिभाषण
संग्रहालय 1932 मसीहा एवं 2020 मसीहा पर 21 रे पहुंचुचु। ये संग्रहालय पर काणी देछि या ओडिसा रो संग्रहालय राज्य संग्रहालय ओडिसा रो विभागीय शासन सचिव रंजन दास महोदय रंजन कुमार दास महोदय म्यूजियम डॉक्टर भाग्यलिपि मल्ल एवं जे आसीचंती डॉक्टर मिलन आशा करूची बुद्धिस्ट सन वेराइसिया हमर सामाजिक बंधु माने जानिथिबे संप्रति कोरोना समय रे बंद होई रहिछि। राज्यपाल मुख्यमंत्री श्रीयुक्त नवीन पटनायक निष्पत्ति कमे कैबिनेट ऐतिह्य यहाँ स्थिर वर्चुअल रे आइबा पई आइतार प्रथम पदक्षेप आमे भाबिलु म्यूजियम डे रे इनागुरेट करिबा या सबटु भलो हबो तेणु आज ओडिसा बाहर थिबा पई पोर्टल ले ओपन करा हल धन्यवाद दूची एथिरे सहयोग करथिबा आलोकीकरण व्यवस्था मध्य करा जाइछि। या आकृष्ट करी मंडल को आसिया छात्र छात्री माने जनसाधारण समस्त को आकृष्ट करियो बोली हमें बंधुगण ये मुद्रामरो एथिरे तत्कालीन ओडिसा अर्थनीति को मध्य एवं दिल्ली रो नेशनल म्यूजियम रे जेपरी बहुमूल्य निजाम ज्वेलरी केबे केबे प्रति हम संग्रहालय रे सेही बड़ी दुर्लभ
ସ୍ଲୋ ଆସୁଛି।
ବକ୍ତବ୍ୟ ଆମେ ଏଠି ମାଧ୍ୟମରେ ୱେବିନାରରେ ମଧ୍ୟ ପ୍ରସ୍ତୁତ କରିଛୁ। ଚାवଲେ
नेट ଟିକେ ସ୍ଲୋ ନା ନେଟ୍ ସ୍ଲୋ ହେଲେ ସେ ଇଏ
ଅନୁରୋଧ ଆପଣମାନେ ସମସ୍ତେ ସାଂସ୍କୃତିକ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକ୍ରମ ଦେଖିବେ ୟା ପରେ ମଧ୍ୟ
ତ ସବୁ ସ୍ଲୋ ହଉଛି ଆମେ କିଛି
ଆଜିର କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକ୍ରମ ସ୍ଥାପନ କରିବେ। ପ୍ରମୁଖ ଶାସନ ସଚିବ ଆଜିର ଓଡ଼ିଶା ରାଜ୍ୟ ସଂଗ୍ରହାଳୟର ଲାଇବ୍ରେରୀରେ ହିଁ ସେ ତଥ୍ୟ ସଂଗ୍ରହ କରିଛନ୍ତି ଏବଂ ହାସଲ କରିଛନ୍ତି। ସେ ଓଡ଼ିଶା ସହିତ ବହୁ ପରିଚିତ। ତାଙ୍କ ସ୍ଥାପନ କରିବେ ପିତା ପ୍ରଖ୍ୟାତ ଐତିହାସିକ ଜି.ସି. ଚାଉଚନ୍ଦ ମଧ୍ୟ ଅନେକ କାମ କରିଛନ୍ତି। ତାଙ୍କ ବକ୍ତବ୍ୟ ପରେ ପରେ ଆମର ଛୋଟିଆ ସାଂସ୍କୃତିକ କାର୍ଯ୍ୟକ୍ରମଟେ ରହିଛି ଏବଂ ଆପଣମାନେ ସମସ୍ତେ ମଧ୍ୟାହ୍ନ ଭୋଜନ ଆମ ସହିତ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଡକ୍ଟର ଚାଓ।
चला चला
Odisha. He took up excavations in Lalagiri for consecutively 6 years, and in the excavations, the first relic casket from Odisha, datable to the Ashokan period, was found.
सर जॉइनिंग किए नहीं सर
Later, because my presentation, I didn't expect it to be here. My 6 years of research work on Buddhism, and in my family, 3 of us we have done PhDs on excavations, conservation. My wife has done like as I was delivering a lecture here on the 6 years of research on Buddhism, and in my family, 3 of us have done PhDs on excavations and conservation. My wife the garden was we have structural remains dating back to this time. Some people India was the last structures and and people started following it. So, and people, even now, whenever behind his house, whether it's a small village or anything in the garden, or has become as icon of peace and brotherhood. So, what was the reason for it, right? And then Padi, in Dalitgiri, in Aragarh. So you have those sculptures, very crude representations in very frontal, what do you call, presentation, very rough sort of sculptures. Then, but Shungas, though they are said to be persecutors of Buddhism, but during that period, because it was the period when you had trade with China and Southeast Asia and through India, it used to, from Odisha, it used to go down. So you have a lot of influences of Shunga Kushana period. Even the Andhra Satavahana influences are found on the sculptures as well as the stupas and other things. Before this, the earliest evidences, archaeologically speaking, that you find is of the stupa that you have. Shugas, though they are said to be persecutors of Buddhism, during that period, because it was the period when you had China and Southeast Asia and through India, it used to, from Odisha, it used to go down. So you have a lot of influences of Shunga period. Even the Andhra Satavahana influences are found on the sculptures as well as the things. Archaeologically speaking, that you find the stupa that you have. Though they are said to be persecutors of Buddhism, they seem to witnesses that to Ashokan period, 3 relics of Buddha have come to India. They are the relic, you have the tooth relic, and the which represent Bali. In Lalitgiri, we have not been able to identify any other place where we have found relic caskets, because what has happened is over a period of time there has been a lot of plundering of all the monasteries and societies everywhere. Even if you presently find a old temple or factories and excavation, and the Britishers also did it. After that, seeing the Britishers, the relics have also done. So even at Lalitgiri, only 2 relic caskets were found. With the inner casket with the relic was gone. So this is all vandalism. We have to leave with it. But it is a request, if anyone comes across anything like that, should inform the government and preserve it, because these are things that cannot be brought back again. Honestly, and the Britishers also did it. After that, seeing the Britishers, the relics have also done. So even like Mathura School of Art. And Lalitgiri, if you see the sculptures that have been found, they are very plain in representation. They don't have much ornamentation. You don't have representation of other subsidiary deities with them. So this sort of images, wherever you find alone, only of Buddha standing or seated or in the Machlinda form, which you can find from 2 places till now, and Lalitgiri and Yamali in Sambalpur. sites are direct Gupta images. And during this period, you have a temple architecture also coming up in Greeks, and most of the stupas and monasteries that developed came during this period. And later there was developed on more refinement into the stupas as well as the monasteries. And Gupta period is also known because during this period there was a lot of patronage, though they were Brahminical, they followed Brahminical Hinduism, but they were religiously tolerant towards other sects, and most of the beautiful sculptures of Buddha and the subsidiary deities started coming during that time. In the post-Gupta period in Odisha, we have a lot of controversy because it was a dark phase. There was division. There was no particular dynasty here, and we even hear that Shashanka from Gauda, he was ruling to a part of Odisha, and he was a persecutor of the Brahmanas. So he destroyed many of the Buddhist establishments. And archaeologically also, when you go to some of the sites, you find some sort of repairing work and additions to the monasteries. And Harsha's time also, when you see in Odisha, he conquered Kagoda, and then he had come here. So here at that time it was Hinaya Buddhism was dominating. Mahayana was still not very active here, and when he came here, the Hinaya priest challenged him ki you are supporting the Kapalikas, because the Mahayanas were compared with the Kapalikas by the Hinaya monks of Odisha. So they asked for a challenge. He challenged them because he had patronized Nalanda. So these people like Harshavardhan had to call for an assembly in which 4 learned scholars were brought from Nalanda. But all those 4, as per the traditions, were scared of the Hinaya monks of Odisha, and Yuan Sam, who was a learned scholar and had studied for a long period in Nalanda, had to read the books of the Hinayas of Odisha in the late nights when everyone was asleep to face it. But it is not known whether the conference took place or not, but this shows that there was a conflict between Hinaya and Mahayana as well as between the Mahayanas. Then you have the Salodbhava period in Odisha. Salodbhavas were for a very brief period, and they were crushed between the Bhamakaras and the Gangas of Kalinga. So they fled over to Java, Sumatra, and we see even now, if you go to the gallery and see the sculptures, this was the period when these people have standardized the sculpture, and like Sunil Patnaik sir has said, he is postulating, and just like the Gandhara and the Mathura school, you have a Kalinga school. So you can see very marked differences here in the sculptures, which has very different facial features, which can be attributed to the Southeast Asian influence that we have, because many of the sculptures here, if you see, or at the sites, they have Mongolian features on them. So this speaks about the trade relations between Southeast Asia and Odisha. And after this, you have the Baumakara period. This period, in principle, in Odishan history of Buddhism, was the most flourishing. And you find the maximum concentration of Buddhist sites. around Jajpur because that was the capital of the Bhaumakaras, and they patronized it as a state religion. During Ashoka's period, he though started Buddhism from Odisha, and he what the Bhaumakaras gave. And during the Bhaumakara period, during this period, the other thing which is peculiar to Odisha and which is a very great contribution of Odisha to Buddhism was the birth of Vajrayana Buddhism. During this period, because Mahayana developed into esoteric practices, and it was only here that Vajrayana came in, and you have different sects of Vajrayana which came in, and during this period, Ratnagiri, which was established during the Gupta period, became the main center for spread of Tantraianism in Southeast Asia, China, Japan, everywhere it migrated from here. And there were many scholars who came and studied in Ratnagiri and took forward this and spread to other places. If you see the stupa at Udaygiri, which is a form of a mandala stupa, this is an what you call emergence of the Tantrayana phase, because in the Tantrayana you have esoteric practices, and most of the monasteries, if you go and again visit, because when I also visited first time Lalitgiri, Udaygiri or Ratnagiri, Kaima, anywhere, you just go and see the plan of the stupas. But when you read books and then go, you will see most of the monasteries were sealed during this period. And they shifted to first floor, or Ratnagiri, if you go, the windows were sealed with brick. The jalis at some places have, when you have either fallen, you find stone railings inside, which speaks that the Buddhism during this period were confined to the monasteries, because they did esoteric practices where the male and female was essential. They used mantras, they used meat, wine, and what do you call chants for achieving the goals. So this sort of practice needed seclusion and a lot of sadhana. So these people wanted to have privacy. So most of the monasteries, I would request when you go this time and see, were sealed at the base. They were shifted to first floor. All the windows were closed. You have secret chambers. Udaygiri monastery number 2, you have on the left side. If you go, there is a secret chamber inside. Ratnagiri monastery number 1, you have two secret chambers on either side of the main Garbhagriha. And this sort of arrangements were done. Udaygiri, you have a double-storied shrine chamber also. So these were all development of the Bhauma period. So much is not much happened because they were following. They were though Brahmin. They followed Brahminism, but they followed an religious toleration and. This Kal Chakrayana and
yes, sir.
offshoot of Vajrayana developed during this this phase. And we've come across some references that there was some sort of crushing of the Buddhism. during this period. During the Ganga period also we find they were first Shaivites, but after coming here Chodaganga became a Vaishnava, and then when he won over the Buddhist, there was a robbery or something, as the legends say, turned the snake into ash, and they proved the Brahmins were wrong. So Anang Bhima instances when they say the king had smashed the head of 32 Buddhists when they lost in a debate, and so many of the Brahmins, Buddhist priests, they had fled. But it was during Mukundev's time, because Odisha was the only place after the Khilji's invasion that people got refuge when Bihar, the Buddhist temples were destroyed. This was the only place where you had a Hindu rule and you had peace and prosperity, and they got refuge here. But this was not very long, because 1568 Mukundev was defeated by the Islamic rulers and he was thrown out. And after that, we don't hear of any sort of patronage. He was the last person who had patronized Buddhism and gave relief to the Buddhists. He repaired many of the structures. He had constructed some of the sculptures also. But after him, there was no references of any sort of what you call royal patronage to Buddhism, and this was one of the reasons because of which Buddhism gradually faded. And here also after this, most of the historians, when they come and speak about Buddhism, this is the last they speak about. So, but when I was doing my research, I came across a book by Mr. N.N. Vasu. He has done survey in Odisha, this part of the country, in 1911, and brought out a book. And it was very fascinating to know that after this persecution of the Buddhists, and after Mukundev's period, and after Anang Bhima's persecution of the Buddhists, they had fled to the hills. Some fled to, after the Muslim invasion, they went to Tibet and the Himalayas. But in Odisha, many of these Buddhists hid in the forest, and they started worshipping Jagannath or Hari, and they called themselves as Mahim Dharmis. And they were Sarvakas. They have been known by many names, and they had a belief that Buddha is again going to re-emerge, and then they are going to come forward, and Buddhism will again take center stage in Odisha. But in the Gazette of 1875, you get in reference during the British period, Mahim Dharmis and the Bhima Bhoi gathered in Puri, and they attacked Puri. And they wanted to replace Jagannath with Buddha. But again, Bhima Bhoi had a dream that Buddha told him, he has left Jagannath Puri. So he stopped the war. And in this war, many people were killed. And the Britishers imprisoned many who surrendered, and many were given life imprisonment. But after that, they ran away and they took refuge again in jungles and different places. So this is in 1911, you get a reference that Buddhism was still existing in Odisha, and Hari Prasad, he did a survey in Baudh area, and he reports in 1840 there were 1783 staying in Baudh, and in his survey he has found that the Buddhists are in 1940 still existed in Mayurbhanj, in Baudh, and Puri and Cuttack areas, but were living in hiding, and most of the literary persons also of Odisha, if you go to next, you find mention of Shunya Dainet, which is the guiding principle of Buddhism. And most of these people has always talked about Shunya while describing Jagannath, and many scholars tend to identify Jagannath culture with Buddhism. So, and in 2002, there was a scholar called Sarga Das. When she worked on the weavers of Manyabandha. So she in that book has very nicely found out and has described that all these weaver communities of Bodh, area and a few other pockets, they intermarry among themselves, and in their way of weaving, they have adopted Buddhist symbols and do it in that way. They marry among themselves. And every Buddha Purnima they gather, they have formed an All Odisha Association, which is at Bangi, and every year during Buddha Purnima, they gather, they have discourses on Buddhism, and now Buddhism has been internationally recognized, and people are coming forward and they are proclaiming themselves as Buddhists. Now they are not afraid to declare themselves as Buddhists, and they are visiting all these Buddhist sites, not only in Odisha but in whole of the country. So this has been just bringing down the history of Buddhism in Odisha from, say, the life of Buddha to the present times. So we can say in Odisha, it did not vanish at all, but it has survived in disguise of Jagannath cult, and it is still continuing. And you have many pockets in Odisha where you have Buddhist still, and now in Bhubaneswar you have the Buddhist center. And like I told you, in Bodh you have the Buddhist Odisha State Buddhist Association. So in this way, Buddhism is still flourishing. But what were the reasons for Buddhism to decline in the country? Whether it was during the Hinaya phase, or it was in the Mahayana phase, or the Tantrayana phase, because Buddhism always had to keep itself important for the people. So it started integrating many of the things from Brahmanical Hinduism to keep the people interested in it and have it as their followers. Then Buddhism also suffered because of amalgamation. From 6th century onwards, Brahmanical Hinduism had taken Buddha as one of the incarnations of Vishnu. So they had taken Buddhism into their fold, and this was because in the interiors, when the Agrahara system was done by the feudatory system was introduced by the Guptas, they found a lot of gods and goddesses, and many places you had Buddhists settling in the interiors. There were local traditions, so there was a sort of amalgamation of all the folk deities, the established deities, and other religions into it, so that it becomes the main popular base throughout the country. And this is how they took Buddhism into it. In Odisha also it happened the same. You have Taratarani, you have Linga, what do you call it? Linga has been converted into stupa has been converted into lingas. Soro, you have one stupa which has Buddhist creed written on it, but it is worshipped as Shivalinga. Kaima, there is Avalokiteshvara inside. He has been worshipped as Vishnu. Even in Ratnagiri, in one of the temples there, one Avalokiteshvara image has been given a tail of a fish, and it is made an avatar of Vishnu and worshipped as Kurma, Masta avatar. Again in Kurma, there is an Yamari image which is worshipped as Yama. So, and Saraswati is now a Buddhist god. Ganesha is a Buddhist, Hindu god, Buddhist god. So they adopted many of them and put it into Buddhism. Then Buddhism suffered because of introduction of Tantraism to catch up with Brahmanical Hinduism, because Brahmanical Hinduism was very huge. It had Shaiva, Shakta, and Vaishnavism, and other sects also. And Tantrism was part of it. So it was catering to the needs of very few people. But Buddhism left its main path and it came into Tantrism, the Vajrayana phase. So this made people very confused, because again it was confined to the monasteries, so they had no access. It was away from the town, so they found all this mantras and rituals associated. It was getting very difficult for them to maintain. So they shifted to Brahmanical Hinduism, which was much easier. Then Shankaracharya and the temple architecture which was taking place, it was growing very fast. So this all developments in a way help people to get back people into the Hindu fold, and Buddhism gradually started losing its influence. Then Buddhism was really thriving because of the traders, and in the later trade suffered because of silting of the rivers. The trade routes had changed, so all these Buddhist establishments on the way had disintegrated, were lacking patronage, and they started fading. Then the main stroke that was given to it was the Muslim invasion. In Odisha it happened, but it happened. And most of the monasteries and the Buddhist remains that you find here there is a tradition called Kala Pahad, who is not only responsible for destroying the Hindu temples, but also the Buddhist and the Jain. He was a convert Muslim, and not only in Odisha. When I was in Assam, there in Nagaon district, they say they have the grave of Kala Pahad. So this person is no more a legendary figure. He has become an historical figure there. And through Itihas Sankalan Samiti, we had planned a visit also to the place, but unfortunately the person who knew was not well, so we could not go. But it is particular that the grave of Kala Pahad exists in Assam, Nagaon district, and people know that it exists. And in Odisha also, he is made responsible for destruction of most of the Buddhist establishments in Odisha. And you find this in Lambudi when you see it has been uprooted from the base. Lalitgiri, many of the structures which were in the village area are destroyed beyond recognition. And many other places, whether it is Kaima, every place, the stupas, monasteries, everything has been disintegrated. And Buddhism, whatever may be the cause, in context of the country, the same applies to Odisha also. And in Odisha, we can very confirmly say, as I said in the research of N.L. Basu and Ms. Sarita Das, and recent developments, Buddhism has not been from here. It is still surviving in some pockets and regions of Odisha. Thank you. I'm sorry because I was told it will be in some room. I cannot read this, and I'm more acquainted to giving a presentation on the screen and talk. So I'm sorry I missed many parts which I had prepared. This is the gist of Buddhism in Odisha from 6th century BC to present day. Thank you.
Dr. Chawle, for giving such valuable presentation on Buddhism, rise and decline in Odisha. On behalf of Odisha State Museum, we are thankful to you for your presentation. Amar Nirdeshaka Srijukta Ranjan Kumar Das, am सहित ए पर्यंत रही छथि आनंदर कथा एबे हमर मध्याह्न भोजन समय हेछि किंतु पूर्व में ए स्टेज रे सांस्कृतिक कार्यक्रम रहिबो आज ओडिसी नृत्यर कार्यक्रम से ओडिसी नृत्य देखिला बेले मध्य हमें आपण माने सेठी प्लेट रे आनी कि आपण माने एठी बसे कि नृत्य देखिला बेले मध्याह्न भोजन खाई परिबे एबे सर आपण टिके सर आपण माने तळु को आसीबे दंड हमर स्टाफ माने को कहू छि टिके दंड हमर संतोष जोडा टिके तळु को नै जाऊ एबे हमर ओडिसी नृत्यर कार्यक्रम आरंभ करिबा गुरु निरंजन राउत एवं हमर नुपुर अनुष्ठान रा कलाकार माने आजिर नृत्य परिवेषण करे जो पिला माने आजी आपण मान ମାନଙ୍କ सामने नृत्य परिवेषण करेंगे से माने ममता शतपथी, प्रीतिमयी साहू, प्रीतिका परिडा, अनुष्का राउत, नीलम पंडा, अनिकेत पल्लव नायक, विश्वभूषण समर साहू, विभू प्रसाद बेहरा। आज जो कार्यक्रम से परिवेषण करने तार सार कथा यही उत्कृष्ट कलार राज्य ओडिशा ओडिशा शिल्प चातुरीर श्रेष्ठ निदर्शन होउछि चंद्रभागार बालुका सज्जार गढ़ी उठिथिबा कोणार्क मंदिर। सेहीपरि ओडिशार पाइक मानकर वीरत्व कहानी अवर्णनीय। ए पाइक मानक साहाय्य दिने ओडिशार सीमारेखा गंगा ठारू गोदावरी पर्यंत व्यापीथिला। ओडिया साधव पुओ माने जाभा सुमात्रा द्वीप मानक वाणिज्य करने को जाई ए राज्य को परिपूर्ण करथिले धन संपद दे। ओडिया मानक जाति प्रीतिर आउ एक निदर्शन होउछि कलिंग युद्ध। कलिंग युद्ध रे लक्ष लक्ष ओडिया को हत्या करिथिबा चंडाशोक एठारे धर्मशोक रे परिणत होइथिले। तार मुकसाखी होउछि धौली पहाड़। अनुरूप भाबरे माने 12 मास रे 13 पर्व पालन करी निजको हजाई दियंती विभिन्न नृत्य गीत रे शास्त्रीय नृत्य भावरे ओडिसी नृत्य जेपरी घुमुरा आज लोक नृत्य ए जातिर संस्कृति प्राण केन्द्र। ओडिशार केवल नुहंती समग्र विश्व वंदनीय ठाकुराणी ठाकुर श्री जगन्नाथ संहतिर अपूर्व वाणी माध्यम समग्र विश्व जनतांकर पूजनीय होई परिचति। एई सबु कथा को नहीं सब विषय वस्तु को नहीं आज नृत्य कार्यक्रम जहाँ परिवेषण करुचंती नूपुर अनुष्ठान कलाकार माने एवं गुरु निरंजन राउतर निर्देशन रे। आसत देखिबा सर रेडी। आज एटा ए पोडियम टा को बाहर करया पई कहतु ए पोडियम बाहर करबा तळ को नै जिबा। मो संजीव लक्ष्मीधर मान को कहूची समस्ते हमर खाइबा पाई व्यवस्था करंतु। नाच भितर आपण माने मध्याह्न भोजन रो मध्य सुयोग नेबे।
भारत श्रेष्ठ देशानां उत्कलः श्रुतः কথা কোণার্ক কহে কণা কীর্তি মন কণা কীর্তি মন কুমোহে কণা কীর্তি মন কুমোহে ଆମରି ଓଡ଼ିଶୀ ଆମ ବାହାରି ପାଣିରେ ବାଣୀରେ ଭାବର କଥା ଆମରି ଓଡ଼ିଶୀ ଆମ ବାହାରି ପାଣିରେ ବାଣୀରେ ଭାବର କଥା भेद आमरी चंपू शरीर भेद
नहीं आएगा कौन बस ସାତ ନା ସାର ଅଫିସର ତଳକୁ ଆଜ୍ଞା ନା ଶେଷ ବର୍ଷ ହଉଛି ଡ୍ୟାନ୍ସ ଆଜ୍ଞା ନା ନାଇଁ ଯେ ଖାଇବା ହେଲେ ପଳେଇ ଖାଇବା ତ ହଉଛି ଆଉ ନେଇ ନା ନା ଟିଫିନ ନା ନା ଟିଫିନ ମାନେ ସେ ହଁ ମୁଁ କହିଛି କହିଲି ସାର୍ ନା ସାର୍ କଣ କହିଛି ସାର୍ ହଁ କହିଥିଲି ସାର୍ ଫୋନ୍ ଆସିଥିଲା ନା ମୁଁ ଯିବି ହଁ କାମ ସରିଲେ ତ ଆଜ୍ଞା 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 ମୁଁ କହିପାରିବିନି ମ୍ୟାଡ଼ାମ ନା ନାଇଁ ଅଛନ୍ତି ଏଇଠି ଅଛନ୍ତି ଯିବେ ସରିଲେ ଯିବେ ଆଜ୍ଞା ହଁ ବା ଫୋନ୍ ଚାର୍ଜ ନେବା କହୁଥିଲେ ତ ଚାର୍ଜ ନେବି ଆଜ୍ଞା ଆଜ୍ଞା